Hi there, Angela here at Sew Bright Alpine Quilting, and welcome to our Boho Heart Sew Along weekly update. And it's Monday, the 11th of April. Thanks for joining us, or thanks for watching. If you've got any comments, pop them down below, and we'll try and get to them in this video, or afterwards we'll answer them for you after we post it up online. Can you hear me okay? You can. Okay. Just say hello if you're there, and today we'll take you back through the blocks that we've done during the week. So this week we were working on our courthouse step blocks. So we've got the 4 different ones here that we've done. They're all constructed the same way, with the 2 pieces the same size on this side of the square and 2 pieces the same size on this side of the square. And that's what gives you that courthouse step look, is that one going out that way. But if you put the same colour on 2 sides, it makes it look more like a log cabin block, even though you haven't pieced it in the traditional log cabin way. And then when you put the same fabric all the way around, you get like a square in a square type configuration there, which is quite cute. So we've got 4 styles of that. Then we have a little sawtooth star, I think it was called, with the checkerboard in there. So I went with quite a bold contrast with those 2. And then we have the small framed Dresden. Again, a nice bold contrast. And then I thought I'd put all the blocks up on the design wall, and I thought, oh, it's looking a bit dark, so I thought I might do a lighter block. So that's why I've chosen some of these lighter fabrics for the framed pinwheel. So this week the next blocks will be X plus. So we're still in the 8.5 inch area of the book. So we're going to do X plus, flying geese, framed Ohio star. There's one of each of those, and then an owl and a, oops, no, sorry, missed a page. And then the orange peel and the centre Dresden square. And if you're like me and you couldn't work out how to get it offset, my offset square accidentally ended up centred, so all I need to do is trim that one down to the 8.5 inches, and that one is job done. And then we'll be on to the 6.5 inch or 6 inch finish blocks. And so we'll finish off the end of the week. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll be doing, in the 6 inch blocks, we'll be doing the churn dash, grandmother's flower garden, which is a lovely little hexagon one, and the simple framed square. So that'll take us up to page 11, and that will give us 7 blocks for next week. So I thought I'd just give you a couple of hints on how we went with piecing the ones that we did, just in case you haven't got that far. So with these little checkerboard here, in the pattern it says to cut out the 1.5 inch squares individually. You can do that, of course, using the template that's in one of the postcards of Jen Kingwell's postcard templates. That one works really well for it. Or you can do as I did and cut a long strip of each fabric. So we cut a long strip of the darker and a long strip of the lighter, and then we piece that and cross cut it into the 1.5 inch strips, and then piece them back together to get our 4 patch squares. I just find that a little bit easier to do, and I get less distortion, especially when you're working with small 1.5 inch squares. The framed Dresden, I didn't read the pattern properly, and I cut out the small Dresden template and 6 of each of those and 6 of each of those and pieced them together, and mine was set up in a big cone. I thought, what have I done wrong? And then I went and actually read the pattern, and I was supposed to use the small framed Dresden, which was this tiny little template here. So yes, always helps to read the pattern twice. So that one worked out a lot better. We've just got a little button one in the middle of that one. And your half square triangles, don't forget, best to cut them out slightly larger than you need. So these are 2.5 inch half square triangles, so 2-inch finished. So instead of cutting them out 2 7/8 as it's in the pattern, I've been cutting them at 3-inch squares, drawing the line on the back, either side of the center line, stitching on that line, and then pressing them and trimming them down to the 2.5 inches. I find that a lot easier than, as I said, working with smaller pieces of fabric that can get a bit skewy. The courthouse steps block's pretty straightforward, 1.5 inch strips, as long as you measure each round after each round to make sure that you're on track, and trim them if you need to, or adjust your seam allowance if you've got a little small, just to make sure that they end up the 8.5 inch finished. And the other thing that I'd like to show you while I've got you is the next block is the X Plus, and in the pattern, the one that that Jen's done here has this cute little stripe in the corners, and I just wanted to show you how to achieve that really nicely, to get that matching stripe with a little stripe. So when you cut your squares, so you have to cut a square and then cut it in half, and if you go ahead and cut them all in half with the same diagonal, so for example if you cut from the bottom left hand up to the top right hand, you won't get this design to go around. So it's much easier than if you do half one way and half the other. So so you would cut 2 squares from the bottom left to the top right, and then you would flick your template or your ruler around and cut 2 squares from the top left down to the bottom right, and then when you lay them out on your design board, you'll see that you'll get that nice intersecting lines, and it'll all work out as it does in the pattern. So I haven't quite finished choosing those fabrics yet, but we will get onto those, and I think, as I said, I'm going to go with some lighter ones because I feel it's getting a bit dark in the box up there. But apart from that, I think I've used about 35 different fabrics so far. Yay! So it's going to look very scrappy, but still very good. And as you can see, they're all working really well together. I'm really happy with the way that they've turned out. And if it doesn't quite look right, well then that doesn't really matter, because when you look at the whole quilt, I mean, there's a lot going on there, and the colours that are next to it will help even out everything, I reckon. And then we've got quite a lot of white and tone-on tones to go in there as well. So next week we might also talk about the cutting of the strips, and seeing if you want to talk about the piecing of the sections, so that we're not leaving too much of that till the end. So I will go ahead and get our 7 blocks made for this week, and then I might have a look and see what is in that first column down here. So it's in, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4 sections the quilt is made in. So they're made in sections coming down this way. So I might start cutting out some of the tone-on tones and lay them on the design board and see how they're looking with that, and see if we can make a few more blocks that will fit into one section, and see how we go. We won't sew them together yet because we might change the location of them. But I think by the end of next week I'll have enough blocks to do, to have a bit of a section thing going on there, and we'll see how we go with that. So keep sewing. If you've got any questions, let us know. Send us an emails, or post your progress in the group. And I've still got some of those tone-on-tone strip sets available. that I talked about in the first week. So there's about 30 or something, was it, Steve? Hang on, you stay there. I've got 18 so far, 18 low volumes at 15 centimetres each, and that'll get you to use them twice. And then we'll see how we're going to see if we need to add in more designs or a couple extra strips of the same one. And we'll see how we go. Keep your rotary cutter, nice blade, nice and sharp. Change it often. And have fun with it. Catch you next week. See you later.